What's up, beautiful people? Sexy little badasses. Is it working now? Okay. It's Mercury retrograde, so technology is. It keeps dropping the internet for some reason, even though. Anyways, what's up? Happy afternoon. Um, so on today's special of Tap In, I wanted to get a little bit more reconnected with relationships and love. And since we ultimately have relationships with everything, but really wanting to focus on what our relationships are going to be like for 2017 and how we can ask the universe or energy or your intuition or whatever, asking, hey, what's up? Asking what our relationships are going to be like. So if you guys are new to the Tap In game, you basically can leave a comment or a comment of your question on what you would like to know. And I'm going to use my beautiful array of books to tap in and answer the question for you, which usually always gives a universal answer for just about everybody. So I thought I was having a couple conversations, and then also I got some private questions, private message questions, which you guys can always do too. If you want to, leave it a little bit more private, feel free to PM me. And I was just watching my girl Roussel's live video, and she was talking about also who are you being, and how you're leveraging your relationships. So I'm going to definitely incorporate that one. The other question that came through was, what's the best way to deepen our intimacy in our relationships? And how do we show up more powerfully in relationships? So how do we deepen the intimacy and how do we show up more powerfully? Those are what I'm going to focus on today. So let's see. I think I'm going to go with, what am I going to go with? I wrote all my notes on it. Do you guys do that? You write your notes on your letters? Okay, I'm going to go with what's the best way, to deepen our relationships, the intimacy. What's the best way to deepen the intimacy of our relationships? And I think, what feels good for today? I want to use 2 books for that. So, no, 3 books. Okay. What's the best way to deepen our intimacy of our relationships? I'm going to go first with, of course, Love's Book of Answers, because this is the Book of Answers game. So clearing the space, this is always what I like to do, just clearing the space, asking for all the energies, any lower vibrational energies to be cleared out of the space, any of my support team, my guidance systems, call them your angels, call them your guardians, whoever it is for you, but just asking everybody to step in and really fully create a sacred space that all information that comes through is clear and concise and for the highest good of everybody, and how we can answer this question for everyone for 2017. But so focusing on what is the best way to deepen our intimacy in our relationships for 2017. The answer. That's weird. You'll have to compromise. I don't know where that's going. What does that feel like that's going? You'll have to compromise to deepen our intimacy. So to me, what my intuition is saying is, I don't know, I think sometimes people have a negative concept on compromise. That's a judgment, observation, whatever, but that's just what came up. But I think when it comes to compromising, I think for me what that means is also balance. How do we balance things that it's good for everybody and both parties? So if we want more intimacy, then it's like, what does that bring up? That brings up like our love languages, right? So everybody has different love languages. If you guys don't know about the love languages, which most people do, but look up those. They're amazing. Little on the surface, I like to get into the deeper love languages of like sapiosexual and demisexual and all that stuff. But as far as the love languages go, how do we know what our love language is? And then how do we also know what our partner's love language is, or our friends, or even in business? So I always say we have relationships with everything, but specifically talking about our romantic relationships. If we know what if we know what our love language is, and we know what our partner's love language is, where's the compromise between one, yes, wanting to be able to receive what our love language is, but then also giving what theirs is, and knowing that when they're giving their love language, then to also recognize that that can make us feel loved. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't feel loved unless I get my love language. But since everybody's love language is different, not all couples have the same love language, then are you recognizing that your partner, how they give you love, are you recognizing that as receiving love? And are you then open to receiving how they're giving you love? So that's what I'm getting from at least this, how to create more intimacy. And you'll have to compromise. That's kind of what my intuition says with that one. But let's ask another book. Let's ask the vibrational medicine book. Because I think everything is vibration, and especially energy within relationships is all vibration. So this is the book I'm working with. Vibrational Medicine. It's a really, really awesome book. But I'm going to ask the book, again, what's the question? What's the best way to deepen our intimacy in relationships? What's the best way to deepen our intimacy in relationships? And what do we get? Okay. If you guys have the book, it's page 359. What's up, everybody? Hey. Okay, so best way to deepen our intimacy and relationships from the Vibrational Medicine book. The health, healing, and well-being of the total planet are within the capabilities of this stone of great nobility. Encapsulated within the core of the amethyst is the vibration of love. That's awesome. I don't make this shit up. I really don't. This is why this game is so fun for me, because you ask a question and then you let the answers come through, and it's always so synchronistic. Okay. So everybody go get an amethyst stone to deepen your intimacy with your partners. So let's see. Encapsulated within the core of the amethyst is the vibration of love. It is that which blends all areas of the body and the being together. It has the ability to transmute pain into pleasure and break into harmony. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. I used to study the stones a lot, and like all the crystals, I knew all of them, and I never heard that part with the amethyst. I'm going to read that again. So the amethyst has the ability to transmute pain into pleasure and break into harmony. Ooh. So maybe for everybody's heartache, heartbreak, I don't think anybody's exempt from that one. Break into harmony. So go get an awesome amethyst. That's so fun. It has the ability to change the molecular structure of things. Light of the sun focused through the amethyst is also very beneficial, as it then enhances the rays of energies that come from outside the planet. I didn't know that either. It also has it can also be directly pointed out, slight dyslexia today. It can also be directed towards the moon and used in a like manner. However, it should be pointed out that rays reflected from the moon affect the emotional and spiritual bodies, while the sun's rays affect the physical body. That's awesome. So again, yeah, going into the moon. So the amethyst will bring in a lot of energy from the moon. That's what I'm getting with this. And connecting, which then the moon is our emotions, is what it's saying, just like the sun is our physical. I'm starting to read this book. Oh my God, of course I don't have it in front of me because I've got it on Kindle. But it's Moonology. And so I've been studying the cycles of the moon and kind of living by those. And just the kind of ebb and flow of how the moon goes, which always ties into our emotions, right? We're 75% water. The moon controls the tides hence within us, right? So that's kind of how I always looked at it. And so getting this book was really awesome for me, just to kind of get even more clarity on the cycles of the moon and how we can tap into those and be more connected with that. And that's our emotional, and that's our a little bit more of like the feminine side. I mean, it's one of the reasons, slight plug, it's one of the reasons why my podcast, shameless plug of my podcast, I do it on the new moon and the full moon, just because the energies are always like coming into the full moon, they're amping up. And then when they're waning, it's more of like taking a look back and creating and reevaluating, kind of like a Mercury retrograde, which we're in right now. So deepen your intimacy. Go get some amethyst. That's kind of badass. Let's see. I'll read the last little bit of this paragraph just because it's highlighted, and I think it's pretty good stuff. So, what's up? Hey. Thank you. You're adorable too. Let's see. Although the amethyst can be a great benefit to the body, both in the physical and the spiritual sense, it's also important that the purpose be of a high repute, and that the one who is working with this particular stone should also be above reproach. For stones in themselves, though not dead, are only as a sending and receiving station, and it is necessary that the energy be of a vital source. That's really powerful too. Clear your stones under the moon, and recognize that also sometimes the stones crystals take on energy. They take on thought forms and all of that stuff as well. So maybe clear them after an argument. Okay. I like that answer. I like that answer a lot. Again, that was how to best create more intimacy in relationships. So the next question: how do we show up more powerfully in relationships? So it's kind of vague, but I'm going to go with it. So hang on. Check that for a second. I said 3 books. I did. Okay. Delete. We're going back again. I'm going to do the 3rd book. Always a plus. Louise Hay. Why? Because relationships have a lot to do with physical body. Okay. First place that I go to on this one is... okay. The stomach. The stomach digests all the new ideas and experiences we have. What or who can you stomach? Sorry, that's really funny to me. What gets in your gut? When there is stomach problems, it usually means that we don't know how to assimilate the new experience we are afraid. That's really interesting. How many people get into relationship and like put on the relationship 20, like in your gut, in your stomach? How many of you carry your emotions in your stomach and all that stuff? So that's what that says to me. That's really interesting. Focusing on stomach for relationships. Okay, so that was the 3rd one. So how do we show up more? The next question is, how do we show up more powerfully in relationships? Did it just cut out? I don't know. Interesting. Okay. I'm still getting used to this Facebook Live thing, so I don't know what it's doing. How do we show up more powerfully in relationships? That's the question. We're going to go to personal power through awareness. This is awesome. I like it when this happens. Okay, page 86. Honoring your deepest truth is a great gift to you and the other person. That's kind of awesome. How do you show up? How do you show up more powerfully in relationships? Honoring your deepest truth is the greatest gift to you and the other person. This does not mean that the truth should be expressed by making the other person wrong. Your deepest truth will be spoken with love for yourself and for the other person. If what you say is damaging or harmful to the other person, then you have not come from your deepest truth, which is always loving. For instance, oh, this is getting good. Okay, for instance, a woman is dating a man who later left her for another woman. She was very hurt and on the surface wanted to strike out at him and make him feel less about himself. Her first inclination, feeling hurt and rejected, was to make him wrong. As she got in touch with her deeper truth, she realized that she truly loved him, wanted him to be a friend, and saw that what she did in the past, closed her heart and walked away, was not her truth. Even though she felt hurt, she was able to recognize the love underlying the pain and express that love in her communication. Within several months, the man came back to her, a new level of respect and love for her in his heart. That's awesome. And it says, many of you hold up an image of truth and yet you deceive yourself about who you are. You do so when you imagine yourself a victim. Oh, the villain victim hero triangle. That's a whole other gnarly thing. I'll get into that at some point. Let's see. Many of you hold up an image of truth, and yet you deceive yourself about who you are. You do so when you imagine yourself as a victim. For you are not a victim. You are a high, powerful being. You deceive yourself anytime you do not acknowledge your beauty, wisdom, and power. Anytime you find yourself sinking into a feeling of self-pity or depression, you are deluding yourself and not coming from your truth. When you deceive yourself, you carry that energy within you, and you will see it played out in the world around you. If you are telling yourself that you are not powerful, you begin to set up a resistance in your energy field, and you attract people and events to you that mirror that thought. As you clean up your energy, become truthful about who you are, so will the universe reflect that truth. That's true. That's really, really powerful. I think it sucks to kind of look into the pain and the heartache that I think everybody's gone through, and even jealousy, I think, brings up those things for people as well, in pain and being hurt. And ultimately, any time that we're in pain or feeling hurt, chances are we're putting ourselves in a victim state. And if we're in a victim state, then that means that we're either making somebody else a villain or trying to find a hero to help us continue to tell ourselves the story that puts ourselves in that victim state. So either way, it's not empowering for anybody. And then the ultimate goal in that triangle, I'll just briefly get into that just for a second, is the villain, victim, hero triangle. For those of you guys that don't know, I think they call it the drama triangle. I've done a lot of work around this and really meditated really a long time on this work. And so I really enjoy it. And I highly encourage anybody to look into that or ask me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to share with you. I have a worksheet on it too that really, really just helps get really clear on it. But ultimately, any time that you're in that victim state and you're making somebody else the villain or the hero, you're in the game. You're in this game of emotional waves, right? And that's never, some people are like, oh, well, isn't it probably best to then just be the hero instead of the victim or instead of the villain? And it's like, no, none of them are actually awesome because all three of them still have you be in the game. So the ultimate purpose is to be the observer and then take that observation from the center point so that you can see almost outside of yourself how you're behaving, how the other person's behaving, and just like you're watching a movie of the whole thing. And that puts you back into a power position, because from the observation position or from the observer position, you can ultimately make a stronger choice from a proactive approach as opposed to a reactive approach. So I think that's kind of the deeper understanding here. For me, at least, I'm sharing what my intuition says with this is the honoring the truth is to really step into honoring your truth is to really step into that power position and always speaking and coming from that space. So that's what it feels like for me. I hope that shed maybe a little bit of light on your life and maybe any hurt or pain that you've gone through, whatever that is for you. I don't think anybody's exempt from being hurt. And sometimes we don't always want to look at it. Sometimes we don't always want to take responsibility. Why? Because it's easier to be the victim. It's easier to blame somebody else. And ultimately, though, it's easier on the other side, honestly, just to like dive into it and look at it. It's always easier to, I'll say for me, but I'm a mindset junkie. I'm always wanting to learn more about myself and learn more about other people. So when I feel like we're committed to understanding ourselves, then we're also more committed to understanding how other people work and how we can open our hearts more. And every opportunity is another chance to open our hearts more, including the ones that make us want to close our hearts, especially those are always the ones that are like, oh, hey, is your heart open? Oh, no? Should we just smash on it? Let's smash your heart and see how you can keep it open. But yeah, ultimately, I think what it's saying is the more that you shut down and the more that then you close your heart and stay within that victim state and whatever the negative conversation of blame or hurt is, then the more you'll continue attracting those same kind of people into your life and those same kind of relationships, because you need to, this is raw truth, you just need to play out the story. So the more that you can love those and the more that you can release that and the more that you can see it from the center point and the observer perspective and come from a more powerful space and release those things, that's interesting. Okay, so how do you release those things? Yeah, I'm just following guidance. So you have to flip it. You have to see it. You have to pull yourself out, see it from the observer, see it then from their perspective. And yes, that's when compassion comes in. And I feel like the compassion is the emotional side, but then being considerate is the action. That's what you ultimately have to take after you seeing it from their side, getting the emotional compassion, and then taking the compassionate action. That's one way of doing that. That's for me, and that's just what's coming through right now. So I hope this has been helpful in relationships, and whether you're single and and this is with your relationship with yourself, and you're setting yourself up for wanting to bring and attract that next love into your life, or whether this is with a partner and you're ultimately wherever you're at wanting to get to that next level. So nobody is ever broken or needing to be fixed. I believe everybody's just ultimately they are where they're at. We're all where we're at, doing the best that we can with the tools that we've been given. And if it's your purpose and your drive, then it's how to get to the next level. So if anybody ever has any questions, feel free to PM me private message on Facebook or on Instagram or anything like that. And yes, I'll do another little shout out for my podcast. I do it every new moon and every full moon, and you can find that on seekingserotonin.com on the blog. So I love you guys. Have an amazing day and amazing lunch break. Yeah, it's been like 20 minutes. So I hope this has been helpful. Much love.